How many guys in their late 20s have the opportunity to constantly be around seven-figure entrepreneurs and investors all of the time and get all of that information for free, virtually being paid for it all of the time? That is literally the most valuable thing I have in my life, and the thing that is going to take me to the next level for the next 30, 40 years of my life, and all of the people around me that I can just organically give them the value from seven-figure entrepreneurs and winners. When I entered the finance industry, I had no real concept of the people I was going to be surrounded by and the opportunities I was going to have, the rooms that I was going to get to sit in, and the information that I was going to be able to digest, right? And what I've really taken away from all of that is I have so much value to give to other people and translate anecdotal evidence that proves that there are really tangible things that really wealthy people do all the time that people don't really talk about. And we see all these get rich quick situations online where most people are setting up online shop accounts and you see a 17-year-old with a Bugatti. Those situations are so few and far between and they're usually really fake. But then when you see the bank accounts of people and the financial statements of people and their businesses and really start to understand what the difference is, you realize that it's very finite situations and decisions that they make. And now, because I've been able to observe all of these successful situations and what made them different than the not so successful situations, because there's plenty of those too, that I've been able to observe for all the time that I've been in capital markets and been in finance in general, is that you can deduct from the success of the most successful people in the world the bite-sized information, like the real tangible breadcrumbs to get to success, just from watching the way they decided to gain success, right? And there was a point always knew that I wanted to be on Wall Street in finance in New York City in the ecosystem. I really made that real deliberate decision. But there was a couple years where it was really hard and I wasn't really making much money and it was just getting harder. And I almost decided to make a really poor decision and leave the industry, leave the firm that I'm currently at. And I got a call from Howard Behar, who was the former CEO of Starbucks, who is really credited with a lot of the growth of Starbucks internationally. And truly, the conversation we had was totally incidental. It was because he put his number out on a podcast. And we just did a video about this where I go through the main things that I took away, my main takeaways from that conversation. If you guys haven't watched that video, it's definitely one of my favorite ones because it's one of the most tangible pieces of evidence I have for how I've been able to conduct my life and the reason why I have good people around me and the reason why I'm building a winner circle is because I've become very rooted in the things that he taught me. And just like a 30, 40-minute phone call while I was sitting in an airport, he's across the country. And so when I've been working in the financial ecosystem, I've been in capital markets for years now, I've really identified there are a few things that make people successful. And the stories are all kind of crazy, and you think of them as like, wow, I can't even imagine that that happened. But it's not by chance. None of this is by chance. It's really a deliberate decision that they made and the way they conducted themselves and the position they put them in, right? You put yourself in a position and proximity to success by making deliberate decisions and making sure you're around the hoop so that when the rebound comes down, you're there to grab it. And so my dad always makes this comparison to basketball, and I don't know why, because we love football a lot more than basketball. But he's like, if you want to score, you got to be around the net. And these guys, everybody that I've deducted so much from their career paths and how they become successful and the things that they're doing, it has a lot to do with their tangible skills. But really, the difference maker is the risk that they're able to tolerate. Right. And I'm not saying that they made poor decisions or that they just ended up on the right side of the coin and they flipped it. It's that they made calculated decisions based off of the information that they had and continued repetition, right? It's the prosperity through proximity and repetition, right? Creating a bigger surface area of success by being able to create value and create decision-making skills where you don't miss very often. Your accuracy is a lot higher. And a lot of that has to do with being very pointed in deciding what you're going to be good at. A lot of people don't even love what they become most skilled at, but they create congruency around the things that they really love. For instance, I know a guy who is way wealthier than anybody else I know who loves cars. And he's able to fund his passion for cars through the skill that he acquired when he was in college. So when I hear the decision about whether I should go to college or not, because I don't really know what I want to do, and it's certainly not what I love to do, Understand that what you go to college for doesn't necessarily need to be the thing that you're most passionate about, but it certainly needs to be the skill that you are probably going to have the best chance of leveraging to build your lifestyle. And so if you do love cars and you want to build a massive multi-million-dollar car collection, it's not likely through cars that you are able to do that. You likely build that car collection through deliberately picking a skill set that you are most likely to have the best chance to be really good at. And so when I identify, oh, I want to live this lifestyle, I want to have these things, none of that really matters. It's about rooting yourself in a skill and then being able to combine your passions. And then your life constantly feels fun because you get rewarded from being really good at something, right? Like if you become adequately skilled, you become adequately skilled at anything, you can progress in your career. But if you become really good at one thing, your utility is beyond measurable. And I'm not saying that being a jack of all trades or being skilled at multiple things is a bad thing. I'm just saying I've noticed that most people who are really wealthy have a one-trick pony type of situation. They're just the best pony. And the one thing that most people try to say is you don't have to work harder, you have to work smarter. That's BS. You have to do both. You have to figure out the best way to accumulate skill while also being efficient, while also applying pressure. And if you're not willing to do any of those things on one skill, it's the wrong skill. You need to pivot. And I've also noticed so many people who realized at some point in some juncture in their career that this isn't for them. Recently, I have somebody within my circle, he's a client, who decided that it wasn't for them anymore. And they wouldn't be able to tell their kids that they should do what they feel is right and swing for the fences if he played it safe. And that really resonated with me, is avoiding the safe, avoiding the comfort. He had a great job. This guy was absolutely killing it in capital markets at a very young age. But he was actually about to be a father and starting to think about how his kids perceived him and the optics around what he was telling them versus the choices that he made. So when you make choices about how you want to build your life and your wealth and how do you want to create that lifestyle that you envision for yourself and for your family, think about the skills that you are best equipped to acquire and become really good at and best tooled to develop. And think about how you want your optics for your children to be or your family in general. Maybe your children aren't your goal. Maybe you don't want to have children. But if you look around at your family and you say, okay, what guidance would I give them? Give yourself that guidance. Are you really trying to swing for the fences? Would you rather play it safe? Would you want them to live their dreams? Does their dreams involve risk? And so all of these people, these, 7-figure entrepreneurs, they typically have one thing in common. They realized that the risk was much more worth the risk of having to tell people or tell the people they love the most that they shouldn't risk it. And the thing that I've deducted from this is, although I've been in the same firm and living a very similar lifestyle, I've been very deliberate about developing skills and deducting all of the value from the people that I'm around, that I'm able to be in contact with in proximity in the same room. I understand what my purpose is. And so when you combine purpose, passion, and a utility, a skill, the sky's the limit. And so then I get really optimistic about what my life should be like and what the people around me's lives should be like, is when you realize that they have created an alignment. There's an alignment around the lifestyle they want to choose, the things they're passionate about and they love, and the skills that they're developing right now. And if these pillars create the potential in life, well, then you really just need to focus on the main pillars. And then you need to understand, how much is it worth the risk?